I have personally been feeling very out of alignment with my current environment, and I know that that is because I am evolving past where everyone else in my current environment is, and it's causing a lot of discomfort within me. Now, if you are someone who feels the exact same way, know that you are not alone. Change is very difficult. And when you are the only one who is making or who is deciding to make those changes, it is very isolating. And not only is it isolating, it is very lonely and uncomfortable because you don't necessarily know what is next for you. But what you do know is that the environment that you are in is no longer a container that can hold you and your growth. You are expanding into a bigger version of yourself, a higher version of yourself, where you are requiring that you be more disciplined. And not only are you requiring yourself to be more disciplined, but you also want those around you to be more disciplined as well, to reflect how you see yourself. Now, I had a moment today where I was doing something in the kitchen, and a lot of people in my family have bad habits, okay? I used to be one of those people who had bad habits. And I am really grateful to sit here and say that I have been able to shed myself of my bad habits. But what that means is that now when I see people who go off to do those bad habits, there's a part of me that is annoyed because I'm like, damn, like, yeah, I get it. Life can be hard and you want to numb yourself and you want to do all these things. But at the end of the day, you can take charge of your life like I have decided to, and you can actually stop those bad habits and not have them be a thing that are running you, because that's what bad habits do. They end up taking control of you. And I think when you're in the midst of that, you don't even realize, okay? You don't realize how crazy it is to go outside and smoke weed multiple times a day. You don't realize how crazy it is to come home every single day and have a drink or a few drinks. You don't realize how crazy it is not to get your body moving on a daily basis. But when everyone around you has those behaviors, it becomes a normal thing. You don't think about it until you're the person who decides to stop doing those behaviors, and then you are able to witness just how insane it is to have all of those bad habits. And I almost feel bad in a sense because I'm not trying to judge people for what they're doing. It's just that I'm now so hyper aware of those habits because I don't do them. And sometimes I think that maybe I'm giving off an air of judgment when it comes to these people in my life. And I'm not trying to do that, right? I literally am just setting a higher standard for myself and walking in alignment with that. And it's making me realize that the people around me do not have that high standard for themselves. And that is why they will kind of coax you and say, oh yeah, it's totally okay if you have a drink. It's totally okay if you smoke a little weed. It's like, but that's not the standard that I have set for my life, okay? That's why you have to be very aware and very cognizant of the company that you keep, because you are going to rise to whatever your environment is setting as a standard for you until you decide that you're going to set that higher standard for you. And as you set that higher standard for you, don't think that your environment is not going to test you and try to get you to come back down to their level because it wants you to stay there, okay? I love this concept that Bob Proctor introduced through Proctor Gallagher. He called it paradigms, and I don't think he was the first person to ever say this, but it's the notion of paradigms and how we're all operating on different paradigms of existence, okay? Different levels of vibration, different frequencies. And according to your frequency, you are going to have a life that is in alignment with that frequency. So if you are someone who is maybe a bit more self-conscious, a bit insecure, don't really love yourself that much, you are going to be in a paradigm that reinforces that to you. That means all of the people that you're going to see on a regular basis are also going to be operating on that frequency until you decide that, you know what, I want to change something. I want to exist on a higher paradigm. And as you start to do that, there are things that are going to happen in your life that are going to showcase to you that you are raising your frequency, moving to a different paradigm. And you're also going to become aware of the paradigm that you were once on. A lot of opportunities aren't going to be available to you because you are just not resonating on that frequency. So until you start to do the internal work, the mindset work, to actually see yourself as being capable of being at a higher paradigm, you are gonna exist with the people that you've always existed with. Why? Because that paradigm was formed when you were a child, and that's the paradigm that you are used to until you decide otherwise. Now, for a long time, I didn't really understand why it felt like I was doing a lot of this work and I wasn't seeing any major changes. Now, there were moments where I was able to briefly raise my own level of vibration and exist in a different paradigm, a different existence, a different environment for a little while. But because I hadn't really gotten to the root of many of the major reasons why I felt so comfortable in certain paradigms, I ended up going back to where I was comfortable. And that's the thing. As you start to rise up, as you start to level up and see yourself as someone who is capable of more, if you need people to affirm you in order to rise up and step into your power, you are almost always going to resort back to what is comfortable. Why? Because all those people that you're so used to, they're over here, okay? You mean you're gonna be out here on a limb by yourself? Scary. And that's why your ego wants to keep you safe. It wants you to exist in the paradigm that it knows, even if it's not helpful to you, even if you're not living your best life here, okay? And I am just at a point right now where I am like, wow, I'm just so frustrated with the fact that mediocrity exists all around me and people don't even realize it. People don't even want to go above and beyond when it comes to certain things, but it's literally not their fault in a lot of ways, because I think people don't realize they're unconscious to the fact that they've been programmed a certain way. But just because you're unconscious to that very fact doesn't mean that you can't become conscious of it and rise up and see yourself as a person who can be victorious in changing that paradigm and setting an example for the people around you that they can do it too. And that's why it's very hard to be that one person who's deciding to do something different, who is deciding that they want more for themselves. Because when you are connected to people who have low self-esteem, who are insecure, who feel like they are kind of just being ridden by life as opposed to riding life and going with the flow, they are going to constantly try to tell you that, oh, what's the point? There's no use. Only some people are able to do it. But again, that is a paradigm that they exist on where their thinking is in alignment with that. And I was that person, okay? I was the person who was smoking weed all the time. I was the person who tried a cocktail of drugs when I was in my early 20s. I was the person who was allowing people to step all over me and to tell me this and that and not really care about me. I would be there for people, but when it came time for them to be there for me, they were nowhere to be found. But that's because I had such a low level of self-worth that I allowed all of these behaviors. But as you start to see yourself as worthy, As you start to do that internal work, as you start to change your paradigm, you recognize how much power you have and how many people are actually unconsciously powerless. And maybe you're that way too. So when you get deeply annoyed with your current environment, you should be really happy about that, because it means that you are now recognizing the sickness that people have been living in and have just been dealing with, okay? There is this very interesting video photo that I'm not going to be able to find, but essentially people had these rose-colored glasses on, and with the rose-colored glasses, they were in this beautiful forest. They had amazing food. It was super awesome. But then this person realized that they actually had these rose-colored glasses on. So as soon as they took it off, they recognized that they were living in dirt. The food was maggots and flies, and there's rats everywhere. The environment is dirty. And once you take off those glasses and you can actually see what's really going on, you can't go back. And I think that's the best part about raising your level of awareness, raising your paradigm, is that you're finally able to see what was really going on in your life. You're able to take off those rose-colored glasses and be real with yourself about the shit that you were living in, the shit that you were accepting, the shit that you were allowing people to get away with in your life. But most importantly, the shit that you were allowing yourself to get away with, okay? And part of taking, Part of taking control of your life is recognizing that you have power, okay? Your power is in you seeing what's really up and you stopping the lies that you've been telling yourself all of these years because it's what's comfortable to you. You need to become uncomfortable. You need to recognize that it takes a lot of chutzpah, a lot of courage to step out on a limb when everyone else in your environment just goes on like it's regularly scheduled programming. Because it is regularly scheduled programming, but you can change that. And I want that for you. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend. And also, I have a weekly newsletter called the Expansive Newsletter. Link is in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.